Hope you guys are doing well, staying safe. Like I said before, we have technically another episode of Fantasy Live. We have another episode of Fantasy Haus Live coming at you. It's going to be technically our second episode. First one was the draft one. But yeah, hope you guys are doing well, and let's get into it. Okay, we got our Fantasy Live set back. Okay. And it looks like it's just going to be me today. Usually we would be doing this with Nate, but he is out this time, so we're just going to do it solo and go from there. So it'll probably actually be like a little bit quicker, but let's get to it. Okay, so first off, we are going to start with... Need to drop down my scenes thing. There it is. We're going to start with a review of the week. Bam. So... and we can get down to a little bit more of a breakdown of this, actually. We want to go... Okay, cool. We are set for that. Alright. In matchup number 1, we had Team Nuge falling and actually getting shellacked by none other than yours truly, Champ Cheese, by a score of 180... by a score of 180.25 to 84.40. Alright, and then let's see, Bob's Burgers, which is actually a newcomer to the league, lost to Chicago Deviants by a score of 149.75 to 109.55. Dream Team. Team Breaky, lol, if I could read. Team Breaky put up 132 in a very narrow loss to Destino, who put up 136.3. So that was actually a 1-point win for Destino there. CD's Nuts, classic, gets the victory here with 139.9 versus Lang Tanks, who put up 115.35 this week. And last, but certainly not least, Debo's Nuts puts up 107 in the victory over BTbruh. And we'll do, as usual, our breakdown of how this all went down. So, starting with our first matchup, Team Nuge, who, in my opinion, should probably change his name at some point, but just never did, versus Champ Cheese, aka me. So we'll switch this. Oh, that is the wrong thing. Sorry. Perfect. Okay. So now we can kind of look at what actually happened here. And we'll just run through this real quick. So Kyler Murray threw up 23 points in the blowout loss to Kansas City. Kyler Murray obviously is going to provide that dual threat, meaning that he's super fast and got the dual threat of his legs. Against Tom Brady, he threw up 12 in the win against Dallas. And that wasn't even it was mostly a field goals that game. I mean, you guys probably saw it, so that scoreline is actually quite fitting for Tom Brady. Dalvin Cook only got 13 points in the win over Green Bay. Yeah, I know. Versus Christian McCaffrey, who got 15 points in the very, very narrow loss to Cleveland. Saquon Barkley dropped 33 points in the very narrow victory over Tennessee, while Ezekiel Elliott only dropped 5 in the loss to Tampa. We don't know how much. I mean, they were just getting swallowed up. Dak got hurt. There was a lot going on for that game. Justin Jefferson just feasted on Green Bay, who was playing zone, and Justin Jefferson just ate, bro. He just did. I mean, could have had Jair shadow him, but we didn't, which gave up Justin Jefferson to go off for 39.4 points, while CD, on the other hand here, only was able to get 4.9, and once again, Dak went out with injury, and it seems like he's going to be out for a few weeks because he has to get surgery, which means either Cooper Rush or some outside hope is going to have to come in. Excuse me. And like I said, if you kind of saw that game, it just makes sense with the injuries and whatnot stacking up. CD Lamb only putting up 4.9, relatively in that same boat actually to T Higgins, except he was the actually one that went out with a concussion. So before he oh my god, he would go out with a concussion before, or after he would rack up 7 points. And on the opposite side, Gabe Davis for Buffalo went off in the, well, not super went off, but he was one of the receivers that definitely benefited from a touchdown during the win over the Rams, who dropped 18. Moving into the tight ends, it was Dalton Schultz, who dropped 13 versus Mark Andrews, who put up 10. Dalton Schultz obviously did actually score a touchdown in the in that Tampa game, while Mark Andrews, who I don't actually know, did Mark Andrews score in that? No. Imagine if I could just click. Okay, it doesn't work. Oh, I could have just done that. He had no tuds. Oh, that's week 2 production. Let's see. He did not have a TD. Okay. So he did not actually have a TD. But nonetheless, he still put up a pretty similar scoreline. So, and Mark Andrews is definitely going to be a focal point. In the flex positions, we had A.J. Dillon, who got 20 points, while A.J. Brown, who also had an amazing game, got 25. A.J. Brown, looking like he's looking healthy, looking good, looking like he can actually catch all those jump ball situations, which you love. Philly's been looking for. A.J. Dillon, who's going to continue to be splitting opportunities with Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones obviously being more that scat back, first down back, and your A.J. Dillon's going to be your short yardage backs, goal line situations. And this is a PPR league, 1 point PPR. And then we go into the battle of the defenses. We got the Ravens putting up they put up 9 in the win over the Jets, while the Cowboys obviously put up only 4 in the loss against Tampa. And lastly, brings us to the kickers. Brandon McManus, who almost had the game winner, put up 10, while Nick Folk put up 1 in the blowout loss to Miami. Not much you could really done too different here. Kareem Hunt going off on his bench. Breece Hall having a decent game. Same thing with Jacoby Myers. On my bench, not too much. Valdez, Deontay Johnson did have probably only 1 over 10, but not too bad. Okay, and then oh wait, we're still on that. If we go to the next matchup, we can just literally hit back, or not. Is it really not going to go back? There we go. Okay, then number 2. Let's see. We will do Bob's Burgers and Chicago's Deviants. All right. And starting off. Justin Herbert putting up 26 points in the win over Las Vegas, with Lamar Jackson putting up 22 in the win over the Jets. So it was actually a pretty narrow scoreline. Obviously, both of these quarterbacks are going to be. They were both amazing last year. Lamar, dual threat with those legs. Actually, kind of the same applies to Justin Herbert. Both young, mobile, and they're both actually very, very good. So you're going to see them producing pretty much this scoreline I would see almost consistently. Moving into the first set of running backs, we have Najee Harris putting up 10 points. I believe he actually got injured in that game. While Leonard Fournette threw up 15, who actually he started off kind of. Leonard Fournette, actually, I have him in my work league. He started off kind of slow and definitely came on stronger as the game went on. That's just going to make sense, when you're up and you're running back and going into garbage time. So just works, game plan scheme wise. Moving into running back battle number 2, Cordell Patterson put up 22 in the single point loss to New Orleans, while Clyde Edwards-Helaire threw up 22 in the win over Arizona. I would expect it was actually literally the same scoreline. Obviously maybe a 0.2 difference, but both number 1 backs. Cordell Patterson, obviously he had an amazing season, looking to build upon that last year. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire, obviously the number 1 featured back there in KC. So making things happen. Moving into the wide receivers, Scary Terry McLaurin in the win over Jacksonville only put up 13, while Jamar Chase, I think he had a pretty slow game as well, came on late, but was able to put up 28 points in the win over Pittsburgh. My bad, loss to Pittsburgh. I literally am reading the one above it. What, my guy. English, and let's slow down. Okay. Moving into wide receivers number 2, Keenan Allen, who dropped 10 points in the win over Las Vegas. I can't actually remember. I remember at some point I did see, if I recall, did he get injured? Yeah, hamstring injury. So he dropped 10 points before he got into that injury, while Jerry Jeudy, who seems like he's going to have quite the amazing year with Russell Wilson under center there in Denver, was able to put up 20. Moving into the tight ends, TJ Hawkinson put up 7 in the loss to Philadelphia, while Darren Waller, who, again, one of the many now focal points of that Las Vegas offense now with Devontae Adams still being there, he still managed to put up 11 points. Moving into the flex position, Chris Olave dropped 9 in the 1-point loss to Atlanta, while Marquise Brown had actually a pretty solid day and a touchdown in the loss to KC, putting up 14 points. Moving up into the battle of the defenses, Saints were able to put up 8.5 in that win over Atlanta, while the Rams defense in that pretty much blowout loss to start the season was only able to muster up 6. But that the Bills look like they know what they're doing this season, so they are going to be heavy favorites. And then your kickers, let's see, we had Justin Tucker, who only dropped 6 in the win over the Jets, while Tyler Bass had a similar kind of stat line, just a hair better, with 8 points in the win over the Rams. Brief little look at the benches. Elijah Mitchell going out, going to be done for a few weeks. Rodgers, also pretty low stat line. Miles Sanders, very good week in the win against Detroit. Christian Kirk had a decent week. Same thing with Drake London, who seems to be one of the featured wide receivers there in Atlanta now. And Goff had a mediocre day. I mean, what can you say when Rodgers only throws up 5 on the other side? All right. Oh, where's my cursor? There it is. Back, please. Okay. Now we move into another battle of the newcomers. And this was the closest matchup of the week, where Destino was able to sneak out that dub. Let's take a quick little look. All right. So, in our battle of the quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts was able to drop 27 in the win over Detroit, while Patrick Mahomes went off for 38 in the 44-21 victory over Arizona. And it looks like that MVP Mahomes could be back, so the league better be on notice. But we'll see. That's literally only 1 weekend, so we'll see. Cam Akers, who unfortunately played the whole game and put up a donut. Definitely did not help Team Breaky at all. Nick Chubb only had 15 in the win over Carolina. Aaron Jones put up 10 in the loss to Minnesota, who had pretty much the same. I think him and Aaron Jones almost had like the same target value. I think he maybe got a little bit of it, a little bit more. And him, I mean AJ Dillon. Josh Jacobs was able to put up 8.3 points in the loss to those Chargers. In the battle of the wide receivers, we had Stephon Diggs putting up 26 in that showout win over the Rams, while DK Metcalf put up 8.6 in that win over Denver. Devontae Adams continuing to show that the quarterback does not matter, as Tay drops 30.1 points, while on the opposite side, Juju puts up 11 in the win over Arizona. In the battle of the tight ends, Dallas Goedert puts up 9 in the win against Detroit, while Travis Kelce puts up 26 in the win over Arizona. And you guys already know that KC, they're kind of looking for that number 1 wide receiver. So who in the meantime is going to be that trusted guy? Travis Kelce. And I mean, the one awesome thing about Mahomes is that, well, there's many awesome things about him, but he kind of elevates. I mean, he totally elevates everyone around him. So he loves to spread it around in KC. So I wouldn't be surprised if many wide receivers actually get many targets this year, including Juju, Mercole, everyone. It's gonna, if KC's offense is as potent as it is when they won on the Super Bowl and when when Mahomes won the MVP. That offense was one of the best in the league. But anyways, moving on into the flex position, Allen Robinson dropping 2 points in the loss to Buffalo. It really just seemed like it was the Cooper Kupp show during that. So I mean, again, it's only one game in. They'll have to figure some stuff out, but it was a rough going. Adam Thielen, pretty much it was the Justin Jefferson show. He just found a way to get open and scored and racked up a ton of yards on us. Thielen was able to muster up 6.6 on us though, so I'll take it. Moving into the battle of the defenses, like I said, not only is that Bills offense good, that Bills defense is good, dropping 18 points in that win over the Rams, while the Chargers defense picks up 12 in the win over the Chargers. And our duel of the kickers, Daniel Carlson puts up 9 versus in that loss against the Chargers, while Harrison Butker also puts up 9 in the blowout win over Arizona. Sheesh, close. Burrow had 21 on Destino's bench. Godwin had 10. Kadarius Toney had 12. Oh wait, my bad. I'm reading the projected. Except Burrows was correct. Freiermuth actually had 12, and Fields actually went off for 14, so not too bad. All right. William Tanks versus See These Nuts. All right. In our battle of the QBs, Josh Allen dropped 34 in that huge win over the Rams, while Russell Wilson dropped 21 in that questionable loss to Seattle, which I think everyone's been saying the same thing. You got Russell Wilson on. Why do you have Russell Wilson on the sideline? Why are you misusing timeouts like that when you can be winning the game? This man is a top tier QB. There's no reason, and he's known for having some great comebacks, being clutch. But for some reason, they go for almost tying a record for the longest field goal. Whatever. But only dropped 21 points in the loss. Moving into the battle of the running backs, my boy JT, the Wisconsin alum, dropping 27 points in the tie with Houston. Joe Mixon getting 21 in the loss to Pittsburgh. In matchup number 2, you have DeAndre Swift dropping 26 in that loss to Philadelphia, while James Conner dropped 16 in the loss to KC. So you love to see it. If DeAndre Swift, he's going to be, was feasting all year up until the injury. If he can do the same thing. And it's funny because Detroit kind of has a similar, I wouldn't say a similar scheme, but they kind of have similar running backs that Green Bay does, where we have it kind of like a scat back and like a power back, where they have Jamal Williams, and Jamal Williams actually scored, I think, twice. So it'll be good to see interesting where the Hard Knocks team goes from here. Moving into the wide receivers, Amari Cooper dropped 4.7 in that loss to Carolina. Cooper Kupp, who looks to be again the main focal point of that entire Rams offense, basically Stafford's only target. And then I felt like he threw to almost reliably. Dropped 31 in the loss to Buffalo. DJ Moore dropped 8 in the loss to Cleveland, while Mike Evans put up 18 in the win over Dallas, including that miracle one-handed. Moving back into the battle of the tight ends, George Kittle put up, unfortunate, no points. Did Kittle get injured, or did he just literally just... Yeah, he was... Okay. Ruled out week 1 due to a groin injury, so... So put up another donut there. That's obviously not going to help you there. Going up against Kyle Pitts, who only put up 3.9 points. And Kyle Pitts had an amazing rookie year. Going into the flex, Devin Singletary put up 8.2 once again in that win over the Rams, while Rashad Bateman put up 13.3 or 13.9 in that win over the Jets. Moving into the battle of the defenses, the Packers did not put up anything as they got their tails spanked by, unfortunately, the fucking Vikings. Anyways, the Buccaneers put up 12 in the win over against Dallas. And in the battle of the kickers, Matt Gay put up 6 again in the loss against Buffalo, while Matt Prater put up 1 in the loss to KC. Taking a quick little look at the benches. 22 from Michael Thomas on the bench, and Tua dropping 17. To be fair, I don't think anyone was expecting Michael Thomas to really... I don't know what anyone was really expecting from the Saints offense, but if production could be there, if Jameis likes to keep throwing to him, could see many teddies for Michael Thomas. On the opposite side here, Tyler Lockett had a decent game. I think this is more of one of those, just how is the offense going to be, and Gino looks like it could be decent. Oh, that was my bad. It's always on this. I was on this hip when I mess it up. He only put up 5.8 points, so I take that back. Zach Ertz put up 11 in the loss to KC, and 13 coming out of Tyler Boyd. So, and if T Higgins is in the concussion protocol for a while, you could see more targets for Mr. Tyler Boyd here. Okay. And last but certainly not least, we have good old Nate the Vikings, the JJs, versus Team Debo's Nuts. See, we're real creative here. In our battle of the QBs, we had Mr. Kirko Cousins dropping 21 against Green Bay, while Trey Lance put up only 10 in the loss to Chicago. And he did not look good. So, again, it's only one game, but we'll see what San Fran can do for him. Moving into the running backs, Derrick Henry only put up 8 against the Giants, which is just shocking when you say it out loud. Austin Eckler put up 11 in the win over Vegas. Then in the battle of the backs too, Alvin Kamara only put up 7.6 in the narrow victory over Atlanta, while Antonio Gibson was able to muster up 20 points in the win over Jacksonville. In the battle of the wide receivers, Michael Pity City baby, as he would say, 27 was able to drop 27.1 points in that tie against Houston, while Debo was able to muster up 12 points in the loss to Chicago. Cortland Sutton was able to muster up 11 points in the loss against Seattle, while Tyreek put up 18 in the win that must have felt good against a rival, New England. In the tight ends, you got Irv Smith, who also unfortunately put up a big old donut, and Dawson Knox, who almost pretty much put up a donut, but was able to muster out 1.5 points. So, something's better than nothing. In the flex spot, Mike Williams put up 3 points in the win over Vegas, while Amon-Ra St. Brown went off for 20 in the loss to Vegas. Not Philadelphia. I just said Vegas before. In the defenses, Miami was able to, or like I said, in that blowout win that Miami had, there was only 4 points for New England, while the Niners, who also lost to Chicago, was able to get 6, so pretty even there. And also pretty even here in kickers as well, where Evan McPherson put up 9 in that loss to Pittsburgh, while Dustin Hopkins puts up 6. Puts up 9. He put up 9, while Dustin Hopkins put up 6 in the win against Vegas. Wow, thank you. Okay, was that the last game? We'll take a quick look at the benches. Jalen Waddle, who has the new best touchdown celebration, the Waddle, at 17 points. James Robinson put up 19. Derek Carr threw up 16. McCole Hardman put up 10. So pretty actually solid outing from his bench, unfortunately. Javonte Williams went off for 19. Brandon Cooks also picking up right where he left off last season at 15. All right. Let's see. Cool. And that brings us to our next portion, which, since it's only it's going into week 2, so it brings us to our power rankings. So without further ado, we'll get rid of that and let's get it. So a quick little review of the week. Champ Cheese getting the win. Chicago Deviants picking up the W. Destino picking up the W. CD's Nuts picking up the W. And Mr. Debo's Nuts picking up the W. And now for the power rankings for week 1 in the Hooligan House Fantasy Football League. Boom. And as you can, I can also show you where these standings are coming from, because it's literally just coming from ESPN's thing. So here, I'll show you. Bam. So this is where all of this, right here in this tab, and that's just season stats. So we'll go back to boom. Power rankings. All right. So Champ Cheese taking home the top dog spot, number 1 for week 1. CD's Nuts coming in at number 2, and Chicago Deviants coming in at number 3, all rounding out the top dogs. Then going into our now extended middle of the pack, we got Destino at number 4, Debo's Nuts at number 5, and then Team Breaky at number 6, Lame Tanks at 7, Bob's Burgers at 8, and then our dumpster fires for right now are the BJJs and Team Nugent. And like I said, it's going to be a long season, exciting season. So we're excited to see where it's going to go from here. Let's see. Obviously, for a few of these weeks here, a lot of these people are going to have it's going to be a pretty stagnant movement here. With the 1, 2, and 3, technically there's a 5-way tie for first, but the thing that's separating everything is the points for. Otherwise, there's also technically a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie for pretty much 6th. So, but yes, that is how this week's. Oh, I didn't realize I was going to be over this far. Hello. Let me move that. Let's see. Name and Cam. Bedtime. Okay. And that is how this breaks up for right now. I expect this will. I hope over the course of the few weeks there'll be a lot of changes, but yeah, this is where we stand for right now. And then bring it up to the last portion is the week 2 preview, which is, kind of, well, not really kind of, but it's similar to I guess kind of how we did the reviews, except now we just kind of go through and kind of take our picks left and right without trying to make too much bias. This is kind of where you can do your own kind of pick 'em if you wanted, but all right, here we go. And the week 2 power rankings here week 2 preview, here we go. Bam. So in our game of the week, we got the number 1 top dog going against the number 3 top dog. Champ Cheese going against the Chicago Deviants. In matchup number 2, we got CD's Nuts going to, this is going to be the Nuts Bowl. CD's Nuts takes on Debo's Nuts, 2 seed going against the 5 seed. Then in matchup number 3, we got Destino, who takes up that 4th rank going against the 10th ranked Team Nugent. In matchup number 4, we have Team Breaky, ranked number 6, going against our 7th ranked Lame Tanks. And in our last and probably least game right now, we got the 9th ranked JJ's going against the 8th ranked Bob's Burgers. Alright, let's get into, so we'll start with the matchup between the Deviants and Champ Cheese. So I'll scroll this down, and we just take the rosters as is, or this the lineup as it is. So we shall get rid of preview, bring back the break it down, and all right. So in our first matchup here, we got Lamar Jackson and Baltimore going against Miami versus Kyler Murray and Arizona going against Las Vegas. Well, Kyler and both these quarterbacks, this one might be a push for me just because it's they're gonna be pretty they're gonna be, oh my god, English bro. I mean to say push because I think they're going to throw up similar stat lines. Miami did shut down New England, or not really, well, they did shut down New England last week, so we'll see what the Ravens got for him this week. Kyler Murray and the Cardinals got destroyed by my homies, so we'll see how they fare against Las Vegas. I would expect that they do a bit better, seeing that the KC defense is not the Vegas defense. But nonetheless, I think these two are going to put up some similar stat lines. If anything, maybe based on what I was just talking about, maybe I would lean towards, like, that'd be too biased. I'm just going to say, but I'd say maybe towards Kyler, just based on the matchup. But I don't want to sound biased. Moving into the battle of the running backs, we got Leonard Fournette and Tampa going against New Orleans versus Dalvin Cook and Philly. Ooh, do we have a questionable status for Mr. Fournette here? Fournette was limited participant Wednesday due to hamstring. Showed no sign of limitation. Would presumably be the main beneficiary. Fournette's hamstring turns out to be a significant hindrance. But we'll see. Okay. So if this injury does get worse, Dalvin, I think I might have to take Dalvin in this one, against that Philly defense, just because Fournette's taking that questionable designation. If it does get worse, or that injury gets exacerbated during the game, otherwise Fournette would be one hell of a contender if he would be healthy. If we're going into running backs, let's see, we got Saquon going against Carolina versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire and the Chargers. They're both going to do, I think they're both going to do good, because I think the Chiefs are going to be able to pass a little bit, which is obviously, if you're able to pass, you can kind of run a little bit, or vice versa. If you get that run game going, it opens up that pass game. At least that's what they always say. Saquon, who's coming off an awesome game, I think might be Saquon on this one. If we look in the battle of the wide receivers, ooh, Jamar Chase going against Dallas and Justin Jefferson going against Philly. I think Jamar Chase is actually going to have a redemption, and Joe Burrow and them are going to have a redemption game against Dallas, who did not look good. And Justin Jefferson, don't get me wrong, Justin Jefferson is probably going to feast in Philly, but I'm going to lean towards Jamar Chase on this one. Jerry Jeudy going against Houston versus Gabe Davis in Tennessee. I'm going to lean towards Jerry Jeudy in Houston, because that Houston defense did hold up the Colts to 20 points. Gabe Davis obviously going to be playing a bit second fiddle to Stephon Diggs, but still looks like he was making things happen. But I'm definitely going to lean towards Jerry Jeudy on this one. Moving into the battle of the tight ends, we got Darren Waller. Ooh, I need a little bit of water on that. Darren Waller, who and Las Vegas going against Arizona versus Dalton Schultz, and the Cowboys going against Cincy. Probably gonna have to go Waller on this one. What's unfortunate is with Dak not being there. I mean, tight ends are one of those positions where it's like they do, like they kind of like say it's the security blanket, but that can only, that only works if your QB can actually get you the ball and has time and is composed to actually do it. So, does Cooper Rush have all that? I don't know. We'll see. But it definitely hurt. That injury to Dak definitely does hurt the obviously his value. So that's why I'm obviously going to be picking Darren Waller for this one in the game against Arizona, because he's a focal point, despite the fact that there is the presence of Tay and Josh Jacobs, Hunter Renfrow. I still think he's going to be, a target regardless. Moving into the flex position, we got A.J. Dillon in Green Bay going against Chicago versus Marquise Brown, and Arizona going against Vegas. I'm going to take A.J. Dillon in this one. The Bears defense is only all right. A.J. Dillon is always used that kind of like gadget back, like we were saying, like I said before. And I expect more of the probably more packages with dual running backs, as they've been talking about. If once because Rodgers got to try and build up trust in his receivers, and when he can't do that, he's going to rely on his running backs. So I expect A.J. Dillon still to be on the kind of the beneficiary of that. Moving to the battle of defenses, we got the Ravens going against Miami and the Rams against Atlanta. I think the Rams in Atlanta might be able to put up more points than the Ravens in Miami will, as that Miami defense and offense was able to put up, I think it was like 20 something against New England, who has had a top 10 defense in the last few seasons. Moving into the kickers, Tyler Bass and Buffalo going against Tennessee versus Brandon McManus in Houston. I think McManus might take this one, just because I think Buffalo might actually have more of their way with Tennessee. So I think Bass might only get on the way for extra points, where McManus might actually get out there for more than just the extra points, get out there in field goals and whatnot. Not too bad week. Then there's David Montgomery, Roger Sanders, Deontay Johnson, Devin Duvernay, Jeff Wilson, Gallup. So there are options for both teams here. Okay. Then let's see. Then in matchup number 2, we have the Debo's Nuts versus CD's Nuts. Roll this down. There we go. Okay, in our battle of the quarterbacks, we got Russell Wilson in Denver going against Houston versus Trey Lance in San Francisco going against Seattle. Got to go to Russell Wilson on this one, just because Trey Lance did not look good, and that was against the Chicago defense. So Trey Lance and San Francisco definitely have their work cut out for them, that's for sure. In the running backs, we have Austin Eckler and the Chargers going against KC versus Joe Mixon, and Cincy going against Dallas. I might have to go Joe Mixon on this one. It'll be a pretty narrow scoreline in my opinion, but I think the KC defense is just a hair more stout than Dallas is right now. Moving into the running back battle number 2, Antonio Gibson, Washington going against Detroit, versus James Conner and Arizona going against Las Vegas. I think Antonio Gibson in this one. Although this one could be actually very close, probably very close to a push, as I think it might be a pretty even scoreline, but I think that in Arizona they're going to be passing a little bit more in that game. While I think Antonio Gibson might have the better scoreline against Detroit, who did actually pick up that win last week. Moving into our first wide receiver matchup, we got Cooper Kupp. This is a premier matchup. We got Deebo Samuel. Cooper Kupp and the Rams are going against Atlanta, while Deebo and San Fran are going to Seattle. The only problem, though, with Deebo is he's got Trey Lance thrown to him, and that severely hinders him, while Mr. Cooper Kupp has got Stafford, so you gotta give Kupp that one for sure. Looking at Mike Evans and Tampa going against New Orleans versus Ty Freak and Balti. This one is a kind of, I want to say it's kind of a toss-up, but my gut feeling is telling me to go Evans, assuming he can play. Because the man always gets targets and he always catches everything around him. Even with all of those mouths to feed there in Tampa, he still seems to be eating. Tyreek, with the emergence of Jalen Waddle, I think both of those dudes are going to kind of like rebound off each other. And I have a feeling Miami might be one of those teams where one week Tyreek goes off, the other week Jalen Waddle goes off. Who knows? Maybe the other week Mike Gesicki goes off. But that's just my feeling as of week 1. In the battle of the tight ends, we got Kyle Pitts in Atlanta going against the Rams versus Dawson Knox, and Buffalo going against Tennessee. I would have to give, I think I would have, based on the matchup, I'd have to go Dawson Knox. The Rams, that defense didn't look particularly good, but I think this one, actually, you know what, I take that back. I think this one's gonna be a push. This is gonna be pretty too close to tell. I would like to say Kyle Pitts more, but they seem to be kind of using Cordell and throwing to their newly drafted, I should say, wide receiver in Drake London. In the flex position, we got Rashad Bateman in Baltimore going against Miami versus Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Detroit going against Washington. You gotta go Amon-Ra St. Brown this one. The man continues to be wheeling and dealing. Can't say anything more about it. Going into the defenses, the Buccaneers. Let's see. Buccaneers going against New Orleans versus Tampa. Well, not Tampa. Oh my lord, that is Tampa. Versus the 49ers, who are taking on Seattle. That Seattle defense is decent, but they did lose to Chicago. Seattle pulled out the narrow win against a very good, well, not, I shouldn't say super very good, but a decent Denver defense. So I think could be a tough one. New Orleans coming off a win. I think they'll pick off famous Jameis a few times in that game. So I think I'll roll with the Buccaneers. In the battle of the kickers, we got Dustin Hopkins and the Chargers going against KC versus Matt Prater, and Arizona going against Vegas. I think I'm going to go Prater in that one, as I think there just might be more field goals. Dustin Hopkins in that game against KC, I mean, if it is a shootout, you could actually end up seeing more of a push or maybe even more Hopkins, but if this ends up being just another thrashing by KC, then you're just going to see probably not much Hopkins. So I'm going to roll with Prater on this one. Actually, yeah, no. or with Prater. Okay. Let's see. Suspended. Nice. Michael Thomas, who's on the bench, could be decent. Travis Etienne, Darnell Mooney, might be worth it against Green Bay. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. Same thing with James Robinson. Also might be worth the start. Okay. And in our next matchup, we got the 10th ranked team Nuge going against Destino. It's so fun to say it, I gotta say. Alright. Preview to break it down. So, in our quarterback breakdown, we got Mahomes and KC going against the Chargers versus Tom Brady. This is going to be a nice duel here. Going against Tom Brady and Tampa going against New Orleans. Like I was just mentioning before, this KC and Chargers game does have potential to be more of a shootout. If that's the case, and MVP Homies is back, then you could see another high production of Patrick here. Tom Brady looked in the win over Dallas. It was a lot of field goals up until that Mike Evans touchdown, but this one I'm definitely going to lean Mahomes. In the next battle, we got Christian McCaffrey in Carolina going against the Giants versus Chubb and the Jets. I'm actually going to lean towards McCaffrey and going against the Giants in this one, as Chubb still has some deal with Kareem Hunt, who actually outpaced him and scored more points than he did last week, but this is going to be going against the Jets, so I wouldn't be surprised to eat my own words and Nick Chubb to have a good game. And speaking of Kareem Hunt, he is the next featured back. So Kareem Hunt in Cleveland going against the Jets versus Josh Jacobs in Las Vegas going against Arizona. No JJ Watt in against or on that Arizona defense. It's the Jets. I might go Kareem Hunt on this one, but who knows? I could be again eating my words off of the week 1 performance, and Chubb could probably just be the man that just gets all the touches. Who knows? But I'm going to choose Kareem Hunt. In this first battle of wide receivers, we got DK, who did not put up very many points in the win last week. And Seattle going against San Fran, and CeeDee Lamb in Dallas, who does not have Dak, going against Cincy. I'm going to have to go DK on this one because Dak's not throwing to CeeDee anymore. In the next matchup, we have Juju Smith-Schuster going against Jacoby Myers. KC going against the Chargers versus Jacoby Myers. And New England going against Pittsburgh. You know, there's no doubt in my mind that Juju will benefit from, I mean, obviously he's going to benefit, but especially if it's a shootout, Jacoby Myers is the number 1 there, but I think I might roll Jacoby Myers going against Pitt on this one. You know, well, that's ironic because that kind of goes against my theory, so how about I go with my theory and say we'll go Juju Smith-Schuster will get some targets, unless it's a lopsided or narrowly won game with Travis Kelce, but I think that we'll see Juju to have a good game, but it might be really close between these two. In the battle of the tight ends, you got Mark Andrews and Baltimore versus Travis Kelce and Chargers. I'm gonna have to roll with Travis Kelce on this one, as one of the best tight ends in the league. He's gonna get fed by Mahomes. But we shall see if this turns out to be a shootout. Obviously, Travis Kelce being focal point. Who knows? Maybe he gets covered, which allows the door for everyone else to get more opportunities. We shall see. Mark Andrews going and Baltimore going against Miami. Again, Mark Andrews, focal point of that Baltimore offense. So he will be definitely getting the ball at some point, no matter what. He's also a awesome, amazing red zone target for Lamar. In the flex position, we got Thielen putting up. What am I talking about? Thielen in Minnesota going against Philly versus AJ Brown and Philly going against Minnesota. That's convenient. These two are going against each other. I think I'm going to lean towards AJ Brown on this one. He looked very good in the win last week against the Titans. Thielen looked to be the man invisible with Justin Jefferson out there, so I think AJ Brown, since he's the number one, is probably going to have a better scoreline. In the battle of the defenses, we got Dallas and going against Cincy, and the Chargers going against KC. Ooh, this is not a very favorable matchup for either. I'm guessing that Cincy's going to bounce back. And I expect KC to put up a lot of points, so I'll roll with the Cowboys on this one. Maybe they'll be able to pull off an upset or be able to hold Joe Burrow to not as many yards. And then the battle of the kickers, we have Nick Folk in New England taking on Pittsburgh versus someone who is out in Bucker. So they'll probably actually have to pick up a kicker. Boom. Preview. Okay. And our next matchup, our second to last matchup, we got Team Breaky, 6th rank, going against the Lame Tanks. Scroll. Okay. Doodaloo. Alright. And here we go again. We got Josh Allen, Buffalo, going against Tennessee. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles are going against Minnesota. I have to roll with Josh Allen. Buffalo looks very, very good against that Rams team. And this is a Rams team that just won the Super Bowl. So we shall see. But in this matchup, I'm definitely going to roll Josh Allen on this one. Moving into the next matchup, you got Jonathan Taylor and Indy going against Jacksonville, while Cam Akers and the Rams going against Atlanta. Oof. This one, obviously, you got to go to JT because that was a lot of people's number one picks in a lot of people's drafts. Cam Akers put up a donut last week. So I'm going to have to give this one to JT. Moving into the next running back position, DeAndre Swift in Detroit going against Washington versus Aaron Jones going against Chicago. Aaron Jones, statistically, he's done very good against Chicago. But DeAndre Swift continues to produce if that questionable designation is an injury that does get aggravated, or they have to put him on some sort of snap count. But we're going to go ahead and assume that he's going to play. But we'll put, I think, actually, Aaron Jones might actually have the better stat line in this one against Washington. I think Detroit is going to have to throw the ball a little bit more, as I think Washington is very good defensive front. Moving into the first battle of the wide receivers, Stephon Diggs in Buffalo taking on Tennessee, and DJ Moore and Carolina taking on the Giants. I'm going to have to go with Stephon Diggs on this one. Like I said, Bills look very, very, very good in that season opener. So I think that they're going to have a little bit more of their way with Tennessee this week, but hey, that's the best thing about football any given Sunday. Moving into the next matchup, we got Chase Claypool and Pittsburgh going against New England versus Devontae Adams and the Raiders going against Arizona. Got to take Tay. He's one of the best wide receivers in the league. Got Derek Carr throwing to him. He did have a very good week one. I expect him to continue to build on that. Week two, if George Kittle is out, he was out week one. Then this one goes to Goddard almost by default just because he's there. Moving into the flex, you got Allen Robinson and the Rams going against Atlanta versus Devin Singletary and Buffalo going against Tennessee. Devin Singletary has not been that great in Buffalo, but Allen Robinson, who had just gotten to LA, was pretty much invisible to Cooper Kupp in that week one loss to the Rams. So this one's actually going to be, I think, a push for me. It's kind of hard to tell where the pecking order is for Devin Singletary and Allen Robinson, unless he can either get some separation or somehow gain the trust of Stafford, which will probably come in time. Then he'll probably get a better stat line, hopefully later on in the season. In the matchup of the defenses, we got the Packers in Green Bay going against Chicago, and the Bills going against Tennessee. Once again, gonna lean on the Bills here, which breaks my heart, especially during Bears week. But I expect the Bills to have a pretty decent game defensively against Tennessee, even though Tennessee does have King Henry. We saw King Henry get bottled up pretty much last week, so if they can figure that out, then maybe they'll just have to throw it more, but we'll see. In the battle of the kickers, we got Matt Gay and the Rams going against Atlanta versus Dan Carlson in Arizona. I think Daniel Carlson actually will have a little bit more points. I think the Arizona and Las Vegas Raiders game will be a little bit more tight than the Rams and Atlanta. But hey, that's just one man's opinion on the internet. Okay, let's go to the preview. And in our final matchup of this week, we got the BJJs taking on Bob's Burgers. We'll close that. Boom. Okay, let's go, boys. Last one. In our battle of QBs, Justin Herbert and the Chargers going against KC. And Matthew Stafford and the Rams going against Atlanta. That could be a shootout with the Chargers and KC, but it could go either way. Stafford, man, was just thrown to a cup last week. Didn't look too terrible. He looked kind of sus in that game against the Bills. I'm gonna roll with Herbert on this one. I expect maybe some big points. We shall see. In running back battle number 1, we got Cordell Patterson, Atlanta, going against the Rams, and Derrick Henry, Tennessee, going against Buffalo. I am going to say, I'm going to go with King Henry. He's going to have a slightly better stat line than Cordell Patterson. It's going to be tough for Tennessee going against that very, very tough Bills defense, but I just think that the game plan for the Rams might be a little bit better, and they might be able to contain Patterson, but who knows? They did crumble to the Bills last week, so we shall see. I say that too much. Lol. In our next matchup, we got Jamal Williams, who actually did score a couple TEDs in the win last week. Detroit going against Washington, while Alvin Kamara goes against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's very good defensive front. I think I'm gonna have to go. But Alvin Kamara is a starter. He's also the number 1 there, so I'm gonna have to go with Kamara, who just because Jamal is gonna be too touchdown dependent. You don't really know for sure, and touch dependent. Because if Swift goes off all game, who knows? Maybe he doesn't even touch the ball. I will say, both of Jamal's touchdowns last week did come off of big runs that were led off by Swift, so we shall see. Moving into the battle of the not running backs. Wide receivers number 1, we got Scary Terry in Washington going against Detroit versus Michael Pittman Jr. Going against Jacksonville. If he's healthy, I'm going to go Pity City. He threw up 27 last week. This is a Jacksonville defense that's still building, so we'll go Pittman on this one. Moving into the next matchup, we got Juice Landry and the Saints going against Tampa versus Mike Williams and the Chargers going against KC. I think Mike Williams will have a better stat line, especially if it's a shootout. Juice had a couple targets, but I think he played a little bit more second fiddle now that Michael Thomas was back. So we'll expect to. My pick here is Michael Thomas. Or not Michael Thomas, Mike Williams. Moving into the battle of the tight ends, we've got TJ Hawkinson in Detroit going against Washington versus Hayden Hurst in Cincy going against Dallas. Hawkinson is actually a huge part of that Detroit offense. So I think Hawkinson is going to have the bigger scoreline here. Moving into the flex, we got Chris Olave and the Saints going against Tampa versus Javonte Williams and Denver going against Houston. We're going to roll with Javonte Williams on this one. Even though Houston, he was heavily used in the victory against Seattle last week. And this is a Houston team that did hold, well, I shouldn't say hold, but was able to hold, wasn't able to hold JT really, was able to hold the Colts to 20. So we shall see what they can do with Javonte Williams. Defensively, we got the Saints going against Tampa versus the Patriots in Pittsburgh. I think, this is both going to be interesting. We're going to roll with Patriots on this one. Put a little bit of pressure on Trubisky. I full on expect him to eat my words on this one, on that one. And then in our kicker battle, we got Justin Tucker, Baltimore going against Miami versus Evan McPherson and Cincy going against Dallas. I think Evan McPherson, I think that Dallas and Cincy game is going to be a complete blowout. But I think McPherson might have some more field goals, especially long distance field goals, which will probably give him some more points here. I think that rounds it out. Oh yeah. Awesome. Well, I'm not gonna end stream, but thank you guys for watching some more of fantasy football content, especially brought to you by me and the Hooligan House Fantasy League. We do this, like I said, well, I actually do this usually sometimes with someone else in the league on Wednesdays, usually at around like 10 or 11. But all right. Boom, we'll do that. We can.